Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Congratulations. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Excited to be here at the final demo session of Unit Masters Cohort 11. Personal congratulations to everyone who's come this far, and really excited on where your journeys are going to take you post-Unit Masters. So as we wait for a couple more people to trickle in, I'd love to know where people are calling in from today. I know we have a great global community. I personally am in New York City, and it's that like 1 week in New York fall where the weather is perfect. It's sunny, it's warm, everyone's out, everyone's in a good mood. So definitely happy to bring that here today with you. I see Sabrina from the Netherlands. Welcome. I'm guessing it's raining there or not? That's a good guess. Wonderful. Well, I just want to say to everyone that today we have Ankur, who's been with Unit Masters for quite a while now, number of cohorts, an expert in everything kind of dealing with Unit network in general. He's in charge of our partnerships here at Unit, in growing the community, in working out a lot of the sponsorships and conferences and scholarships that we have are thanks to, in large part, Ankur and some of the other team that he works with. And I know he's passionate about education and about bringing people into the Web3 world. Ankur, I'd love to open it up to you if you want to add anything to your introduction.
Thank you very much, Zach, for that kind introduction. Very kind of you, as always. Hi, everyone. I'm Ankur from India. I apologize in advance if my feed gets a little noisy because today we have a festival going on in India and people like come out in processions and burst some firecrackers. So it's all good at this point of time, but just in case, apologies if it gets a little noisy. But I did test it. It luckily it's not picking up the background sound, so hopefully it'll be good. So like Zach mentioned, congratulations to everyone for getting this far, for completing Unit Masters Cohort 11. Hope the cohort has been good and added value to your journey, and we look forward to having you back for future cohorts. And we have 22 people in the room. Should we give it another minute, Zach, or I think we're good to start?
Why don't we give it one more minute for people to come in?
Sure. Perfect. So I'll just two bits about me and my journey in Web3 just before we get into today's session. I was introduced to Bitcoin in 2011, but I didn't bother until Jan 21. I was neutral. I wasn't negative or against the whole thing, but I was just neutral. Maybe my calling didn't happen or didn't come. And then in Jan 21 with COVID, the other businesses were down and I had time on my hands and, I'm like, okay, always knew what Bitcoin and like, okay, so started off as a speculative investor, started listening to YouTube influencers and started investing in literally every coin that I heard about. And I felt like a genius because I caught like the mid of the previous bull market, and I'm like, what's really going on? Whatever I was touching was like 7xing, 6xing. I'm like, damn, what's going on? Till the crash obviously happened. But the fundamentals of like trustless decentralization, no middlemen, everything really intrigued me. And I was like, this place is a lot more than just the price movement and the trading element. And that's when I stumbled upon Unit and Unit Masters myself. So that's where my learning really began, and I started. I did the Unit Masters program twice myself. I think it was cohort fourth and cohort sixth, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, really liked how Unit as a community was coming together and spreading the knowledge and delivering the value, and the whole concept of a tokenized economy really intrigued, and decided to stay back. Went through the Pioneers program with Unit. And here I am, like part of the Unit core team, and like Zach said, kind of heading partnerships for Unit Masters and Unit Network. So that's before Web3. I've been a non-tech startup founder with a few startups under my belt, and now I'm all in Web3 and uh, almost cannot relate to Web2 anymore.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us a little of your background. I just want to encourage everyone, if you're in a place where you can turn your camera on, I encourage you to do so Ankur can see who he's talking to. And I also want to just give a personal thank you both to Agama and Anka, who are also part of Unit Masters team and really responsible for driving this forward. Thank you so much. So Ankur, whenever you're ready, we can jump in.
Okay, so
I also want to, just a quick also, Momo is with the art core team. Thank you for coming out, Momo, to support us today. And Ankur, take it away.
Awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Everyone can see my screen? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through, this is a live, this is actually my wallet on Unit. So we're going to just go through the Unit network platform. I'm just going to go through the various features that we have and on the platform, and also we're going to see when you create your own tokens on Unit, how simple it is and what are the kind of features that you get. The platform is not 100% ready. This is probably the first version, first MVP version of it. And a lot of features will be added. A lot of UI UX will eventually change. This is like the first version of our platform. So if I go too fast or if you have any questions, please feel free to either stop me in the moment or put the questions in the chat, and we'll try and answer most of them. So getting started. So basically, when you log in, I believe everyone has created their account on Unit Network. If you haven't, then Anki, could you please share the invite link in the chat so people could do that as we speak as well, and maybe if people want to browse alongside, you could do that as well. So once you log in to Unit Network, this is where you land, and this is basically my personal wallet, live wallet, and all these are the different tokens that we have on Unit Network and the ones that I have. So you can you can see your entire total portfolio and what you own. On top, you can see some features like wallet, transfer, deposit, staking, walls, withdraw. We'll get into that a little later today. Let me first get into our native token, which is Unit Network. So and go through the features. Just keep in mind that when anyone creates a token on Unit, you get these identical features for everyone and obviously it can be used as deemed fit by the creators and the founders. So I'll just go through the Unit network first. So Unit basically is powering the token economy that we believe that in 3 to 5 years most businesses, individuals, groups, communities would have their own micro economies, which is going to be tokenized. So when you enter in Unit, the first info section is where you see an overview of a particular project or a token or a community for everyone to see. So as an investor, you can go through all this data, which very few protocols offer in such depth, and then decide whether the project is for you, is not for you, is it, how risky is it, how unrisky is it, what's the traction, all of that, a lot of data points where you can analyze, right? So just going through the information, so like basically who's the creator, which of the token, what date was it created, what is the total supply of tokens that the project has. In this case, Unit has about 1 billion tokens. What is the circulating supply of currently of Unit? So we have 13.48% of the total Unit token, which is currently in circulation. So it kind of gives you a gist of how early or late in a project's journey you are, before you choose to be a part of it or invest in it or use a service. You can see all this information. You have the total market valuation, which means basically the current price of Unit divided by the total supply. And then we have market valuation, which is basically your circulating supply divided by the current price of. Then you can see here is treasury and floor price. This is in fact quite revolutionary facility feature that unit has using. We'll deep dive in it a little later, but just to give you an understanding that when unit as a project raises funds, 90% of that gets locked into the treasury. Now, when we lock funds into the treasury, only a token holder in proportion to the tokens that they hold can redeem that value from the treasury. So what it does is, so if you can see, the treasury here shows $4.69 million. So that's the amount of value that is locked into the unit treasury, which also gives the floor price for the unit token. So 0.0047 is the current floor price of unit token, which is calculated by the total value locked into the treasury divided by the total supply. That's 1 billion. So in theory, you can see what is the floor price, what is the speculative price, which is the next price, which is the exchange price, which is 56 cents. So you can see what the floor to speculation price is. If if the speculative price is very high, you know that okay, this is a little more risky at this point of time, versus if the speculative price is not very high, you can, it's all there for you to learn, gauge, go through, before you make any decisions to be a part or invest in a project. And this also incentivizes founders to keep the project healthy, right? Then you have a pool value, basically. So what is the current liquidity that is provided to the platform, to your particular project, that is visible over here. You can have some social links like websites, like you can have your slide deck, you can have your social links, all visible over here. Then you can see who your team members are. So in Unit's case, at this point, we have 21 team members. You can see who are the advisors, what are their individual holdings. So you can see we have currently 14 active advisors, and you can see what is the going back to the team. You can see what the individual holdings are of every team member, and if you can go inside stats, and you can see how each team member is performing as well. So all this information is there for everyone to explore, visualize, see, keep track of. So if you've invested in a project, or you are a part of a project, you can see how each team member is performing. I won't go into too much technical details over here, but you can see every core team, every advisor, and how they are performing, right? So this is like an open information, like for everyone to view. Coming back, moving ahead, we also have.
Can I jump in 1 second?
Yes, please. Yes,
because I know you're talking about the treasury and we're seeing all of this transparency, but
right.
In many ways, this is groundbreaking for the crypto community, is it not?
No, sure, it is. Being so transparent is actually sometimes frowned upon, because Web3 and crypto also comes, like, people want to be anonymous, and they don't want to share their holdings, what they own, what tokens they hold. But yes, I mean, going forward, the transparency kind of helps or prevents bad actors in a way, from or if it is, it's bad, right? I mean, it's in public eye to
Yeah,
to judge, basically.
right. I'd love to give one example of why I think the treasury is so important, and something that you just highlighted is that everyone can see how much money is actually backing the token, right?
Absolutely.
And when we get into real tokenomics, so for example, I start my business, and my business has a certain amount of tokens, and maybe you own part of my business, so you have bought tokens in, and Sabrina's bought tokens, and Anka has some tokens, and each of you can see that, in a healthy business model, my business is making money, and I'm continuously putting those profits into the treasury, which is then shared among the token holders. And once it goes into the treasury, I can no longer take it out. It now belongs to all of the token holders, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so this is a transparent way to see really if I am a good actor or in good faith, in terms of managing my business, correct?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So for example, which I was going to come to, we have Thorn from our team, who's also a rock star in the literal sense that he's part of a rock band, and they're planning to tokenize their band, and they've pledged to put 20% of their profits into the treasury, right? So that's a pledge. Now everyone can see that 20% is from every gig or every sponsorship or every event sale. They're going to put 20% of that proceeds into the treasury, and that keeps adding the value of their token, over time. So the founders can use different mechanisms. Like in Unit's case, we put 90% of the funds in the treasury for the entire community, right? But obviously, when you're running a business, you don't need to put 90%. You can choose to put 20% or 30% or 10%, depending on the quantity of funds you need liquid to grow your business. So it's very specific to each case study. Like in Unit's case, we're building a community, right? So and the Unit team members are not drawing the funds raised as salaries, or people are literally contributing as an owner of the project. So the funds that we are collecting, we are parking it in the treasury, so give the floor price. So I'll dig into the treasury in just a second, to show how the treasury looks. Just the final update on this page is you can also see your community. Like, so in Unit's case, you have 2,758 holders, and you can see who these holders are. You can actually go into the profiles and see who these community members are, and you can see the percentage of unit tokens they hold. And it's not the unit hold, it's about all across all the holders, what percentage they hold. So all this is there for in public eye for everyone to view. Like Zach said, that complete transparency, which is quite unique compared to most of the um, projects out there. Now, coming to the other features, we have something like a bank. So when the funds first get raised, it comes to a bank, and like the word suggests, you can use a bank as a bank, right? So you can use it to pay vendors, pay salaries, pay your team, use for growth, use for liquidity, all of that. And you can also choose to send money from the bank to the treasury, right? That's one feature that we get. So doing that, if we now let's go into the treasury. Now, once you've sent the money, the assets from the bank to the treasury, like we mentioned, it's built, it's on the smart contract, it's locked, and only a token holder, in proportion to the value of tokens they hold, can redeem the value out of the treasury. No core team, no unit team member, or no project owner can extract money beyond the tokens you hold. So now this is the value that is backing Unit. So you can see, so in Unit, we accept 15 crypto assets as value, which is we also call the blue chip crypto assets. So we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Polygon, Solana, BNB, Cardano, Algorand, Avalanche, Harmony, so on and so forth. These are the assets that back your treasury. So we have 143 Bitcoins, 650 or close to approx 650 Ethereums, Polkadot, almost 10,000 Polkadot, 37,000 Polygon, so on and so forth. So this is again open in public view to see what is backing the floor price or the value of a particular token, and then take a call how healthy or unhealthy a project is, right? And if you see USDU over here, USDU is Unit's own stable currency, which again you can mint with one of these 15 assets. So these 15 assets is backing the value of USDU. And in the current scenario, we have 15,000 USDU in the treasury. Now, how does this is again very interesting is when we come to the exchange feature. Whenever there is an exchange on the platform, there is a 2% fee that we charge, and 0.5 to 1% of that fee comes to the treasury. So say if you start a project and your project gets an exchange, and that exchange generate fees, 0.5% will automatically go into the treasury to keep adding to the floor price of your project. So over time, when we see a lot of exchange that happens on to the network, it will keep adding the floor price and the value backing that token. Any questions so far? Does anyone have any questions so far? Or maybe I can proceed, and then we can get into questions later. Moving on, if you see, we have exchange. So in week 3, when we were going through the week 2, actually, I think, where we were going through the different ecosystems, we had a decentralized exchange. That is what we have here in build. It is the same technology as Uniswap or SushiSwap or 1inch, any of the decentralized exchange. We work on an automated market maker. So there are two types of DeFi exchanges. One is an automated market maker. Second is a peer-to-peer exchange. Now, peer-to-peer becomes a little cumbersome because at any given time you need someone to, like you need a buyer and a seller at the same time and agreeing upon the same price. It can get a little complicated. So you have an automated market maker where people provide liquidity on a platform by in our case we take unit and USDU provide liquidity, and people can trade against that liquidity. The more the liquidity, the less volatile the price of that token is. The lesser liquidity, obviously the price is more volatile, and also talks about how how are people going to exit the platform, or how healthy or unhealthy uh, the community and network. So in our case, we have about 58,000 units and 32,000 USDU currently in the pool, and people can buy and sell. And you can see on the left over here, every transaction is tracked: who are buying, who are selling, what is the 24-hour change volume, what was the price high and low in the last 24 hours. All of that is vision. Again, this is an MVP version. This will evolve with better UI UX as we move. Um, this is also where you can provide by so if you want to buy, you can sell, and you can provide liquidity by staking and remove that by unstaking. So when you stake, again, whenever there is an exchange, uh, 0.5% of the exchange goes to the people who have staked on the platform in proportion to the share of the stake that you own. So again, don't need to get too technical at this point of time. We can always dig deeper later. Then you have a bunch of community services. Again, a lot of this is not live yet, but you'll be able to create your own storefront where you can sell goods and services for your tokens. You can have like a news, like you can release comments and stuff like that. You can run contests. You can release some papers to read. You can create subgroups. You can ask questions, and you can have a Q&A session. You can run polls. You can run events, virtual or hybrid versions over here. Use the platform as to aggregate the events, and the voting mechanism. You once it's live, it's not live yet, but you can have the logic where your token holders can vote, or everybody can vote, or you can have different slabs. All those logics will come in, which is yet to go be deployed. Then you get a bunch of sale features where you can define different sale rounds for your token. So these are basically decided by the token creator. So in our case, we decide that with every sale round, we have a price hike of 60% over each price. But obviously, you have an automated market maker, which is defining the market price, right? So the market price and the sale price they cannot be too far out. So this is where you can create sale rounds at different pricing. You can see the completed round. So like currently, Unit is doing a 75 million round for or 50 cents, and we saw the current exchange price was 56 cents. right? So people can buy off the exchange or come and buy off the sale round. So the next sale round would make sense when the exchange price is higher than your bank sale. You can have all these logics predefined. Now, that's uh, most of the features. Now, we also have bonded staking and vaults. Now, vaults, I will try and not be too technical because it can get a little technical. But what the vaults do is, and this is only for unit. This does not. The other token holders do not get. Creators do not get a vault feature, but vault is only for unit. What you can do is you can lock up your units and create a vault for one of the 15 crypto assets, and you can, when fresh funds get into the platform, and the vaults are the ones which wrap, say suppose someone is sending BTC, the vault will wrap the BTC into BTCU and send it to the depositor's wallet, and you as a vault creator will get the BTC as a loan without an expiry date, without an interest. So what it does is it decentralizes the fund management that unit is getting. So I'm not going to get deep dive a lot on it. We can touch up upon vaults in maybe towards the end of the session if people are interested, or we can have a different session for the vaults. I'm going to move on and show you how to actually create a token now. It's so if I come to create over here, it's literally to begin is a 4-step process. You have a name, you choose a logo, you decide on the total supply, and you give it a symbol, and you hit create. That's it. Your token is created. That's how simple it is to create a token. So I'm not going to create a token at this point of time, but I have a demo token to show you the other features that you get once you create a token, right? So suppose we created this token, you can see the manager is Ankur, and the date it was created, what is the total supply. There's nothing circulating at this point of time. There's nothing in the exchange, so it's 0. But if you are a token creator, we can go through the process, the different features and how to use the features. Yeah. So first is, if I come to edit, you can change the name, you can add a description, you can provide your social medias, you can okay, now this is interesting where you have an industry and city token. So what we are doing at Unit is we are creating city and industry tokens. So namely Mumbai, Dubai, Bali, London, New York, San Francisco, all the major metros of the world. Industries like Zach mentioned, we have Momo from the art industry and art token. So we have art, health, yoga, education, travel, uh, so on and so forth, about 50 industry tokens. So if your project, say you're a musician in New York, so you can actually build on top of the music token and the New York token, right? So you get ready bases to tap into for music and New York. So similarly, depending on your business, you can add the pre-existing communities over here. You can choose a stable coin. So like USDU, we have 15 other stable coins which can be minted, which is based on the leading currencies of the world. So you can choose which stable coin you want to work with, and you have an agency. We will not get into the agency at this point of time. You can have your Telegram, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube. You can put up a slide deck, TikTok. You can decide out of the total token sale, how much of that you want to keep for your team and how much of that you want to release as release for sale, right? You can have all these features in here. Then this is on the right. This is where you can add team members and team advisors. So in this case, as a test, we have Christian, who's a team member, and we have 2 people as advisors. So coming back to team, this is once I add a team member, obviously your team member needs to have an account on Unit Network, and you can use the username to add a team member. You can decide how much allocation you want to give that particular team member. It can be uniform, or you can have hierarchy depending on to each business or each project. You can have a cliff period and a vesting period. In units case, our token allocation that the unit core team members get is has a 3-year cliff. What it means is for 3 years those tokens are locked. So if any of the core team members stop working or stop contributing to the project before 3 years, the allocation gets confiscated. So you don't get allocated, right? So you can likewise define 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, whatever you deem fit. And a vesting period is basically a periodic release post the cliff period. You can decide to release a number of tokens. You can define what role your team member is playing, whether it's marketing, organization, product, or sales, whether it's development or quality. You can have all those features. Similarly, you can add advisors to your projects as well, right? This is where you can do that. Yeah, moving on. Let's go to the sale rounds. So if you create sale rounds, this is how you can create like different stages. So just a sample, I've created 2 sale rounds for the same value, but so it's like, you can control how many tokens you want to release at what time or at what price, right? So just going inside you can decide the price, you can decide the quantity, you can decide who has allocation, whether it's open for all, or you can actually whitelist people to join or be able to purchase or not purchase. You can define what is the maximum quantity each wallet can purchase. You can have a different quantity for a team member, different quantity for an advisor, and a different quantity for a community member. You can decide whether who can participate in a particular round. You can also define if there is a successful fundraise, is there any referral fees or commissions being paid to the core team, advisors, or communities, right? So all those you can define with this feature over here. Quickly running over the bank. So once the sale round goes, when you raise money from the sale round, the money first comes into the bank, and from the bank you can then, like we said, we can transfer. You can choose to transfer to another. You can transfer money to a user, or you can transfer to the treasury. By just saying, if you want to transfer to the treasury, I click on to transfer to the treasury, decide on which asset do you want to send to the treasury. And right now there's nothing in the bank, so we cannot send anything. But when it is, you can decide on the quantity that you want to send and the quantity you want to retain in the bank. So the
Ankur,
money that isn't.
Yeah. Can you open the sale round?
Yes.
I would love to just go in and show how easy it is. I'm just gonna go in and buy some.
Oh, you want me to activate it? Or
yeah.
Why don't you buy some units? The unit is live right now.
I was gonna buy some of the DMO.
You want to buy some of the DMO? Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna okay. Sorry.
So I didn't mean to get too into it. I thought it.
No, so once I'm creating it, I know how to activate it, but okay. So you'll have to buy a unit update sales page. Yeah, I'll have to come back to this.
Okay, no problem. We'll do it later.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, right now it's pending. Once the round is active, this will reflect as active. Just right now, I don't want to, in the essence of time, I don't want to put in more time there. Yeah, like coming to the treasury, like we said, only once you transfer your funds to the treasury, you can see what all is here. And when you get an exchange, uh, the first person providing the liquidity can decide on the price you want to. You can set your own price, and then obviously the buying and selling will decide a market price to your token. So in ideally, it's not too healthy to keep a very high price, because the market would very early correct that price. Most of the community features are not live yet, but once they are, this is where you can go ahead and release polls, or keep your Q&As. You can release some info papers. You can create your own store with uh, multiple listings, like an e-commerce kind of a play over there. What else? Coming back to now, basically there is, I won't get into the technicalities of how do you deposit and withdraw at this point of time. One thing I can do is, does anyone have an account? Can 3 people put up their account username? The first 3 people, I'm going to send some Mumbai tokens right now, live. Okay. Suman, Tanveer, and Mishala. Perfect. So this is, I'm just going to send some. So if I go to transfer, and I request Suman, Tanveer, and Mishala to please, please log in so you can see how this really works. So, okay, I'm going to send you unit, not even Mumbai. So I've selected, if I want to transfer, I've selected unit. I'm going to give you, say, 1, or let me just give you 10. What the hell? I'm going to give you 10 units, which is currently at $5.6. Your receiver's name, transfer, boom, it's done. Suman, you should be a unit holder currently. Let me go into Suman's profile, and there you go. So, oh, you have Mumbai and unit.
I've sent movie tokens and 1 unit to everybody who put in their username.
Nice. Nice. So yeah, so I just sent 10 units to Suman. There were 2 more, right? Just gonna quickly. So let me send some Mumbai now. So I'm gonna go to another token, and I'm gonna just add Mumbai. I'm gonna give you another 10, and that's it. Boom, done. So 007. I'm gonna set this up to, let's say, I'm going to send you some Mumbai token as well. So that's how easy it is to transfer from a peer-to-peer on the unit network. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the features. You have an explore features where you can come and search for all the tokens. Again, this will get more intuitive. We'll have better search engines inbuilt. This is a very robust first element, so you can go through what are the different projects and tokens and DAOs that are on the platform, and be a part of, invest, join a team, see if there are any bounties, see if there are any tasks that you can fulfill, meet people, all of that we can do. Yeah, I think that's pretty much most of it. I don't want to get into the walls too much because it's a little technical at this point. Unless people are curious, I can touch up upon it.
Yeah. Ankur, it might be a great time to just open it for some questions. I know this is like a lot of information that people are getting right now.
Right.
And I think one of the interesting things to think about for me is how, when you're creating a token, you're also creating a DAO, right? And
Right.
it's a new way, I think, of thinking about the organization of both people and capital, right? So, for example, if I had a coffee store, a coffee company, as I
Mhm.
allocate tokens, suddenly the not just the investors who are going to have probably the majority of the tokens, but also my employees can have tokens. So they're
Yep.
really invested in the success of the business. But
Yep.
then it could also be the customers, right? So
Yep.
if it's a coffee shop that I go to every morning, I might want to invest in that coffee shop,
Right.
right? Or maybe I'm a vegetarian in a small Midwestern town and I want to invest in a local vegetarian restaurant. Maybe not even because I'm interested in making money, but because I'm interested in having that in my community, right?
Right.
Um, so like what you were looking at, a lot of those functions are not just creating the token and managing the token financially, but there's also a lot of um, community organizing tools, right? Where you can
Right.
have polls and you can communicate with your community, which is new, right? If we
Right.
look at even a company as big as Disney, Disney was using other platforms to communicate with its customers, whether it
Right.
was through Facebook or Instagram or other ones. And as soon as you start to introduce tokens and this kind of co-ownership, you have a direct way to not only communicate with your customers, but also to incentivize them, right? So for example, if Thorn, you mentioned, in his music group, uh, perhaps by being a token holder of his group, of his band, you might have early access to songs, or you might have access to songs that are still being written and recorded and be able to give feedback on them, right?
Absolutely.
You
Right.
might have access to merchandise that the general public doesn't even have access to, right? So again, I think you're looking at increasing, customer loyalty, recognition, and also participation, right? So I
Yep.
could see if Thorn, for example, if his band has, I don't know, 10,000 token holders, when they need to create a new cover for their album, I could very easily see him going straight to his community and saying, "Hey, who's a graphic designer?
Right.
Let's do a contest and have our community create these band covers and then be able to do a poll to see which one they actually want and like the most." Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
just visualize this. Say there is, let's say, Uber and there's Lyft, and say Uber is tokenized, and you own a certain amount of that tokens. We know which service you're going to use. You're going to use Uber because it's in a way helping you back. So
Right.
it's that's the power of a token economy, and that I mean the use cases are being built. They're like I mean, like you said, the loyalty program, fractionalized ownership, uh, non-bureaucratic distribution of funds. Uh, you can have like a cashback mechanism. So every time there is a purchase of your product or service, you can choose to you can airdrop some tokens to them and let that be reimbursed or reclaimed for goods and services in the future. So
Right.
you're not using your fiat currency to give cash back. You can use tokens to do that, which is getting your users the same utility which fiat would, but you're preserving it. So there are like umpteen use cases that can be built, and we're at a very early stage. Uh, Definitely, regulations is something that we all need to. Uh, every jurisdiction has their own regulations, so that is something that we need to really understand for ourselves of how the local regulations really affect the token economy.
Right. Right. I see a question here from Michaela, who says, "I'm not sure how I can introduce the concept of a city token in my community. What can users do, say, with a Rome token?" Right.
Right. So
I,
great question.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to give an example of what I'm hoping to do here in New York as a case study. So in New York, we have a pretty strong community. There's over 600 people in it. They're very influential. A lot of them are business owners and are interested in seeing tokenization kind of enter into mainstream New York, which it hasn't yet, right? So, and I think we've already closed 10 rounds within the unit, within the New York token. So like one of the things I'm hoping to do with a friend here to help her is to start a cafe. Now imagine she's going to open a cafe. She needs to raise capital to kind of get the cafe up and running. And she says, I want to reach out to the New York community. And for my business to begin, I'm only going to accept New York tokens, right? So now let's say she wants to raise $200,000. Within our New York community, she may be able to find 20 people that are each willing to invest $10,000. They're going to be part owners of this cafe with her because they're token holders, right? And they're going to buy New York tokens to contribute to her cafe, right? And then she'll be able to basically withdraw those funds to start her business, which means the cafe will be up and running. The Treasury won't have very much money in it because she's probably used most of that to start her business. But each month, as her business makes money, she's putting her profits back into the Treasury. And those token holders are seeing the floor price each month rise as that business continues to go, right? And that's just one case study. But as we start to look at more and more, you can imagine when there's 1,000 or 2,000 or 20,000 businesses in New York that are all accepting the New York token, right? Now, what we're starting to do is basically build like micro economies, right? And again, with any currency, it's based off of this trust and this store of value that we can exchange with each other, right? But if I see that her cafe token is slowly growing and that she has a really successful business model, then if I'm selling some other service, I may even take or accept her tokens as a form of payment because I recognize that they're not only holding their value, but that they're increasing in value. And I mean, in that sense, I may even prefer to receive her tokens than to receive just a dollar amount, which, as we know, the dollar amount is usually because of inflation going to go down over time, right? That's one way that I see it, Michaela, is how like a Roam token could be valuable to the Roam community in supporting each other. Are there things you'd want to add to that, Ankur?
No, so pretty much it. Also, I mean, like, acting as a medium of exchange, it's also like a niche. Like, it's like the let's take Mumbai and New York for that example. Uh, the very same business would have its own economy, right? Like, I mean, like a street vendor or a local restaurant, the price points, the cost, the everything is very different. So the idea of having a New York and a Mumbai token is because of the unequal valuations that we have, right? So also it's like if we don't have these micro communities, everything would be very clustered. So imagine every time, say, someone from New York or someone from Rome had to go through that entire cluster of all the tokens to find, okay, who's in Rome, right? Who accepts Rome tokens, or where can I use my local currency, right? Local value. So that's why the niche economies, over and above what Zach mentioned.
Yeah, I'd love to add to that I think, it's imagine today, I want to start a business. I go to the bank and I'm presenting my business plan and I'm hoping that this bank is going to give me a loan so that I can start my business. But I think in the future, we're really looking at communities funding endeavors, right? So like in the Rome community, when you have, I don't know, 500,000 people that are using the Rome token, they become that community. So if I wanted to start a business in Rome or a DAO in Rome, I would basically present that to the community. And the community would say, yes, this is something that we value and that we want. So it's really an alignment of interests and values, right? And if there's enough alignment, then the capital is going to pour in for you to be able to create that endeavor, right? And I think what we'll start to see, and we see this already around the world, right? For example, I have friends in Caracas. I'm working with the Caracas team or Argentina, Lebanon. There's places where the currency has lost its value and it's continuing to lose its value, right? And many of those places you find dollars being sold for extremely high prices because it's a better store of value, right? And so I think one of the things that we'll start to see is more so even than fiat currency is what are the tokens that are transparent, that are increasing in value, that are being adopted by communities. And those are going to be the I feel oftentimes the future tokens or currencies that are going to be used, right? And if we start to see a lot of corruption, people are going to sell those tokens and say, well, these people are not responsible, right? So I think it's really going to be kind of like a community kind of regulated and governed currency where we see people and capital flowing towards tokens that are aligned with our interests and values. Other questions about either the unit platform or kind of anything that you may be interested in? If not, I encourage you all to kind of look around. I really want to just emphasize that we are at the beginning of tokenization, and really we're at the beginning of even cryptocurrencies. I know sometimes we look at a couple rises and falls within the market and we think we already missed it, but we are really at the forefront of a new paradigm where we're looking at decentralization, different ways of organizing people, different ways of organizing capital. There's going to be a lot of pushback. I think we're right now in a moment where we're challenging a lot of the traditional systems, whether it be banking, whether it be nation states, whether it be traditional companies. And I would encourage you to continue to learn. I would encourage you to go in and look around the site and see what's possible. I do want to emphasize, as we've had other speakers already talk about, that creating a token is very easy. As Ankur just showed you, you can go on and in 5 minutes, all of us could create a token, right? Having a community that supports that token, that adopts that token, that values that token is very different than just creating a token.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Creating
tokenomics.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's the same thing. I think we saw this in, as the .com boom happened, there were just thousands of websites, but not all of them had like a realistic business model. And then we saw the bubble burst, and a lot of those that didn't have successful business models went out of business. So just because you're creating a token, because you're bringing a community, you still have to have a valid business model, right? How are you going to continue to add value to that treasury so that your token kind of rises in value for the people who hold it? So I see a question from Eric. I'm going to read it. Should we create a Abuja city token? The drive is to campaign for businesses within the city to accept the Abuja city token. What happens if compliance regulatory requirements demands that the back should be in local currency? It is an excellent question. And I think, one of the approaches is we have to think about all of the players and all the people that are involved, right? And that includes your local government. It includes your local businesses, your private, your public sector, also your educational sector. Philanthropy plays a part in it, and grassroots communities. So I think for me, always the bottom, the very beginning is there a need for it? And if there's a need for it, then there's usually going to be support for it, right? But I will say that I think a lot of it begins with education, which is what we're doing right now, right? If we look at places around the world where they have kind of open and kind of progressive regulations and laws, we're looking at places like Wyoming, places like El Salvador, places like Switzerland, which usually begins with someone in a position of power that's knowledgeable, right? Even the companies, if there's a mayor in Abuja that's literate in blockchain technology and understands Web3, people are going to start to open companies there or DAOs there because they know that the administration at least understands the technology, right? If it's somebody in office that doesn't understand, people may be a little less likely to start, right? So it's also looking at like the timing of like, when is it ripe to open a community, right? And I know we're seeing this, in many countries. I was just talking to somebody from Valencia who's saying, let's start a Valencia token. And I said, well, Barcelona's not even off the ground yet, right? But he was able to say, we have one of the largest accelerators in Europe for tech companies. So I thought, oh, maybe he's onto something. Maybe this community is more open. Maybe there's enough people there and enough businesses that are starting to drive the Valencia token. So now we're starting that conversation. So I think it's looking at a lot of factors, talking to people, getting people together, and kind of seeing when those intersecting groups are aligned enough to launch. And I would also say it usually starts with community.
Right. So yeah, another two factors that as unit that we used to select the 50 cities were primarily population and the economics behind. Yeah, but so for Nigeria we have a Lagos token, but yeah, Abuja, if there's a local community, yeah, go ahead. The platform is ready. You can actually create your own token, an Abuja token, and drive that forward. Why not?
Wonderful. I want to thank everyone. Ankur, thank you so much for walking us through.
Thank you
I know there's
for
more
having us.
features every week that are coming out. So feel free to check back and just look around the site and see what's being added. Our development team is constantly making improvements. Join, I know right now you're part of the Unit Masters chat, but also feel free to join some of the more like the Unit Network chats, where you'll be able to stay more in touch, or the alumni chat, and to communicate. If there's features that you want to see that we don't have yet, let us know.
Yep.
Right.
And also would like to add that hope the program really added value. We run 6 cohorts a year. So we take like a 2-week break, take in all the feedback, learnings, try to improve the program, and we're back in 2 weeks' time. The next cohort, which is cohort 12, is already announced for September 25th. Feel free to join in again if you want to deepen your learnings. The first time it can get a little overwhelming, the whole Web3 blockchain space. You can then decide to deep dive in on any particular topics, and more importantly, hashtag unit masters. Please put out what was your favorite moment in cohort 11. What did you like? What did you dislike? What you would like to improve? You can let us know directly as well if you have any suggestions for feedbacks. And yeah, just post your favorite moment of cohort 11 using hashtag unit masters, sorry. And Twitter handle is the unit network, and hope to see you back in cohort 12.
Thank you, Ankur.
Thank you very
Likewise,
much.
I encourage people. I've taken this course multiple times, and I continue to learn more. And I just want to ask Agama and Anka if you have anything you'd like to add before we close the session.
No, all good. I'm just really glad to work with you guys, and I can only encourage everybody to sign up for our new cohort. We're making such improvements. We're growing the community, and congrats to all of you who made it that far and for being part with us today. Thank you, Zach and Ankur.
Last request, if everyone can switch on your cameras, we just take a snapshot and as a memory for the final session of cohort 11.
Yes,
Thank
please
you
do
very
so.
much.
Wonderful. Who's doing the picture? Did somebody get it?
I think I tried. Yeah, I got it.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. And I just want to add one last thing, that in the postcard that we'll be sending out at the end of the cohort, thank you to Anka, we will be inviting all of you, if you would like, to join a city Unit City Telegram group to kind of promote your city, to be kept up with what's happening in your area. So just pay attention to that next postcard that comes out, and we look forward to you growing the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.